Wee, was this a good show? Welcome back to another episode of The Daily Show. I have just finished an incredible conversation with an amazing guest, and you're all going to get to enjoy it in a moment. The wonderful Florcy Morisset. She has had a great career working in art everywhere, right? She's worked in art, she's worked in tech, she's worked in Web 1, 2, and 3. She's a woman in NFTs, and quite frankly, it's just one of the best conversations I've had in a long time because the stories she's telling are so relevant. The places she's worked are all of those places where you're like, I have one of them, I watched that. And now what she's about to do is it's gonna be huge, okay? So check out this amazing guest, the wonderful Florcy Morisset. Please follow her on LinkedIn. Big things happening for her. An incredible person to follow. Enjoy. Ooh. And we are live. That's right, we are live. Back on LinkedIn for another episode of The Daily Show. I'm taking a breath because I was doing a lot of dancing to my own song in the intro. So excuse the old man breathing heavy here. First and foremost, thanks again for joining us. It's a real pleasure to have you all send comments in. If I don't reply, it's not me being mean, it's me being a little busy, and I will get back to you, I promise. But keep sending in those suggestions to new guests. They're super helpful, helping me, Mason, and the team pick these awesome, awesome guests which keep coming up. One such name is here right now. Now, this next guest has done us the biggest favor there is in my book, which is wake up at the butt crack of dawn, 5:30 in the morning, made herself look fantastic, feeling all energized and ready for an episode of The Daily Show. So without further ado, the wonderful Florcy Morisset.
Hello. Good morning and good afternoon. So happy to be with you.
Good evening, good night.
I love global audiences, so this is like a treat for me. So thank you for the opportunity. And yes, it is early here, but happy to be here.
See, I'm super lucky. Anytime I'm on an American show, it's just late for me. I'm like, okay, it's 7 p.m. This is no problem. But you're fighting the good fight for us this morning by getting up so early. So, Florcy, for those people out there who haven't heard of you yet, tell the kids a little bit about yourself.
Yes, my name is Florcy Morisset, Haitian immigrant, born and raised in New York City. Began my career as an art gallery owner, pivoted quickly when Web 2 came, the e-commerce boom. And I actually went into big tech, worked at Dell Technologies, Netflix, and then this amazing space called Web3 and NFTs, which was the lovely merger of the thing that I love most, which is art and technology, came about. And as the folks say, I aped in, I jumped in really heavy and fast. And I've had an opportunity to work with some amazing people. I actually have a startup in the NFT space, and now I consult a couple of projects. And so here I am having fun, living my passion, and really just at the intersection of what may be for the future, which is a really special time.
What I find so exciting about that is I'm assuming to run an art gallery, you did an art degree at some point.
No.
Art history? No, nothing?
So, it's interesting. I did this other conversation a little bit ago. So I'm an immigrant and from the Caribbean islands, Haiti, and you're given only two options. Either you can be a doctor or a lawyer. Now there's three, which is an engineer. And my mom did not believe in the creative arts. However, the creative arts was so much a part of my culture. Like it was interweaved. And I'm like, but we go to Carnival every year. We to a museum. We have art in our home, and you don't want me to be indulged in this. And so it was very interesting. So the whole time of my career from, even adolescent up until going to university, undergrad, I studied psychology and science. And, because I was going to go to med school, it's 5 of us. 4 of my siblings are in the medical field.
So at Christmas, when someone shouts, "Is there a doctor in the house?" It's okay. It's taken care of already. We don't need Florcy to be there to be like, "Yeah, me too."
I used to joke and say that, I'm the failure, but I'm actually my mom's favorite, so it all worked out.
And there it is, brothers and sisters. It's on record now. It's been said, all right? It's out there.
I'm the favorite. But so I actually started the gallery when I was 26. Pure passion for telling stories. And so I was a storyteller. So I studied theater arts in high school, and that's how I got into the arts world. And I use art as a medium for change and narrative telling. And I wanted to tell a different story about Haiti. So that's my creative piece to kind of how I got into at least the creative side of the arts. I ended up getting a design thinking degree, which is art and creative as well, but not an artist.
No, but no, more design, which is, as I know, a very different thing. As often we're contacted by art workers, and I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do this social piece. And they're like, no, no, I'm an artist.
Yeah.
In that case, paint something for my wall, and we'll call it quits. I came from I was always told all through my childhood, I was a musician, I wanted to be, the next big whatever rock star. And I was always told by my uncle, he was like, "That's great, you're really good at it, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Just as a plan B, let's get a little job. Let's just get a little job, huh?" Now that's because he's a puppet master and knew that if I got a job, I'd enjoy making money and not being broke all the time, and led into that. But there was a long period in my career where I was kind of looking and being like, well, music's not a thing, right? Music's something I get to do over here, and or like creativity isn't something because much like yourself, I didn't go to university, I didn't do much in high school either, but I didn't have anything which would allow me to move into kind of any kind of creative space. And then, thankfully, 7 years ago, through luck and hard work, we started this agency, and now I get to do it every day. But it's somewhere that I didn't, much like yourself, until kind of tech lent into this becoming something that was a little bit more profitable than it sounds like I'm just a capitalist, but in some ways I am, but until it got to the point where I didn't have to be hungry for my art or like my passion, and there was a potential to actually like pay the bills and pay rent for me and my wife and all those good things and do something creative. I wasn't able to get into the space.
Jay, I think you're hitting on something that's like so important, right? If you think about media and who drives media, it's creatives, it's the creative economy. It's $1 trillion industry. And when you look at the legacy of artists, right? In any empire, I used to say this, I specialize in cultural art, and I used to travel the world, buy art, bring it back to the US and sell it. And I use it through education awareness. And the education and the story that I would tell, and I would always begin with, is that art is the epicenter, right, of any country's narrative and story. And the first thing to go when a country is about to fall is the art. The first thing to be built is the art. And so it is important that we have that. And what we've been able to do with Web2, which is e-commerce, social media, and what the precipice of, or what we are on now, which is Web3, where artists will be able to lead their own careers and drive that and be able to get the full monetization if that's their desire.
Yeah.
Right? This is just so important. There's so many artists that have, died not financially in a financial position. Their families have not been able to get the royalties. You look at Basquiat, so one of the highest selling artists, but didn't get that
Recognition.
that recognition until he was, since gone past. And unfortunately, his family has not been able to reap those benefits as well.
Right.
But think about what we have now, smart contracts and the technology that is saying, no, we can envision a better world that where creatives can be financially stable and have a legacy and have royalties and things of that nature. I think is so important. And you see the disruption that's happening in the music and the art world with NFTs. It is something that's important. It's something that's necessary. So
I agree.
think as we think about art and creative space, if we did not have and find a way to monetize it and make it sustainable, where would we be now?
Exactly, because I think, and you'll know more than me because I'm clearly no good at art, but I believe Picasso, or I'm saying the wrong person, but died penniless, but like penniless, not, and now one of his small doodles on a piece of paper is enough to retire on, right? So, and obviously we're talking about hundreds of years, et cetera, but that is and another thing that comes to mind is actually in the early 2000s, late 90s, is the huge art scam that happened in New York, when a ton of like galleries were selling newly found paintings which are being created by some phenomenal artist, right? But not not the artist of note, who's not the one who was signing it, right? Any of that kind of fraudulent is taken care of when there's a specific way of saying, like, no, this is the original.
Yeah.
This is where it comes from as well. And with that, we're able to build what commerce is built on. It's now a limited edition. There's only one of them, which means it's that expensive as opposed to 1,000 prints and which one's real.
Yeah. And I'll add one last piece, and I definitely we can move on. But provenance is important. The history of where something has come is important. And you noted earlier around capitalism. Art is a business, and it's sometimes not taught in the schools. It's sometimes not taught. Like, we don't talk about the finances in high school for yourself as a citizen and a contributor to this world, right? And we have to talk about the business of art, and we have to make sure that it's equitable for everyone. Artists, women, and Black people are the most marginalized communities, right? And if we don't position them in the forefront, and we're making sustainable decisions from policies to technology, how can we as a world, as a society, thrive?